You are Locked On Bulls Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Chicago on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Bulls Postcast here on the Locked On Sports Chicago YouTube channel. My name is Joe George. You find me on Twitter at Joe George Radio, and the Bulls season is officially over, losing 109-90 to the Miami Heat in the playing game. The Bulls came into this game a 1-point favorite. They lost by 19. They were down by 25 at one point in this game. A disaster performance. So we're going to talk about this game, what went wrong throughout all of it, because there's so much of what we saw this season that went wrong with this team throughout the year that definitely appeared in today's game to the full extent. So we'll talk about today's game, what went wrong. If it changes your season outlook, because it changes mine, to be honest. My thoughts before this game, after the last one, and then what after this game today, it definitely changes my outlook. And then what's next for the Bulls as we officially enter the offseason. Brandon's here in the chat. He says horrible performance, no defense. Yeah, they played terrible defense. Let's start there. The defense was not good. Yes, the Miami Heat were hitting everything, okay? They started off the game 9 for 11, so they're hitting every shot they possibly can in this game. So they're on fire, but also your defense is terrible. Tyler Hero cooked them for an entire game. The only time you stopped him was when he stuck his leg out and got called for an offensive foul on a three-point shot that went in. He was doing anything he wanted to at will. He was 8 for 8 to start this game from the court, and he just was going up and down any shot he wanted, inside, outside, mid-range. Tyler Hero was getting. And we're going to talk about more about what's next, but that's a huge part of what one of the long-term concerns was amplified in this game, the defense. The other stuff in this game that was obvious that's been an issue for 83 games now has been points allowed in the paint, and turnovers. The Miami Heat had 56 points in the paint in this game. They dominated the Bulls in the paint. I mean, they were just getting, again, whatever they wanted to at will. I said multiple times when Nikola Vucevic was hurt that I liked this team better defensively in the paint with Zach Collins out there than with Vuce. Didn't even play that much in this game. Vuce couldn't stop anything on the inside. I mean, at one point he passed off Bam Adebayo to Kobe White, and Bam missed it. But why? Why are you doing that in this game? The backdoor cuts, everything about the Bulls defense was just atrocious. They never had an answer. We saw Billy Donovan adjust with the zone. It didn't work. The Bulls just didn't have it. And I think the reality of that is they don't have enough guys defensively. Yes, we know the Bulls can't score. They've scored a lot of points this season. Obviously, only scored 90 tonight. So the play-in / playoff atmosphere showed you the weaknesses times 10 for the Bulls in this game. And it does start with the defense, that they didn't have anybody that could stop Tyler Hero. They didn't really have anyone that could stop Bam Adebayo, Andrew Wiggins. They lack so much defensively right now. And think about this throughout the entire season. Think about what's happened and why this shouldn't be that much of a surprise. Look, again, I thought they were going to advance through the play-in tournament. Part of that was my lack of belief in the Miami Heat and my lack of belief in the Atlanta Hawks, who the Miami Heat are now going to play to try to get into the playoffs. But if you think back throughout this season about defense and matchups, what is Billy Donovan doing this entire year? He's been tasking the rookie Modest Buzelis to guard Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo. The best players in the world have been, your rookie forward has been tasked with guarding them. So to me, it's not a surprise to see in a playoff atmosphere that a team that has the best coach in the NBA is going to absolutely cook you offensively. Again, I thought the Bulls were going to win this game. Before it, I think it was a fair line, a 1-point favorite on FanDuel. I thought that was a fair line for it, but they just played so poorly defensively, and the guards just didn't do enough to ever slow down Tyler Hero. And it looked like everything that just could have gone wrong went wrong. What was missed assignments, bad communication, lackadaisical defense. I mean, some of this defense we saw in this game, I felt like the Bulls hadn't really had this bad of a defensive performance since Zach LaVine left the team and since he was traded. Overall, it had been better, effort-wise. But I just feel like everything went wrong. And look, we know this is the Bulls thing as well throughout the year, is that when the shots aren't falling, the defense gets worse. And that's what happened in this game. As the Miami Heat are hitting everything and the Bulls can't hit a shot to save their life, the defense was just getting worse and worse and worse, and the game just unraveled. I mean, they got outscored. The Bulls got outscored 39-28 in the first quarter, 32-19 in the second quarter. This is game 83 of the season for the Miami Heat as well, and this was their largest halftime lead of the season at 24 points. That's what the Bulls allowed. Yes, they outscored the Miami Heat 27-17 in the third quarter, and it was 21-16 in the fourth, where everything just kind of went to chaos for both teams at that point. But 3 years in a row, 3 playing matchups, 40 wins, 39 wins, 39 wins. And this is what, this is the outcome that comes out of it. I totally agree with Zach here in the chat. Anytime the Bulls panic, they go to shooting threes, which is brutal, especially when they're not hitting them. We've talked about this all year long, all year, whether it's Vucevic, Levine, Kobe, Giddey. The Bulls are better when they're attacking the paint. And they just didn't do it enough tonight. They couldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. And they were just ripping threes throughout this game and couldn't hit any of them. And it's the one thing with this new style of basketball the Bulls have played that we've seen throughout 82 games is that when it's not working, things don't go well because they don't pivot. They don't stop they don't stop shooting. They just keep trying to shoot out of it. And yes, they've had 5 or 6 this year, 16-plus point comebacks throughout the year, 2 20-point comebacks in the first month of the season. But you were not going to do that in a play-in tournament. That was not a real recipe for success in the regular season. It somehow happened a bunch of times, but it was not going to be a recipe for success in the playoffs against Eric Spoelstra, against Tyler Hero, against Bam Adebayo, against Andrew Wiggins. That's not going to happen. So this was just a disaster game for the Bulls from start to finish, offensively, defensively. We did see, obviously, the return of Josh Giddey in this game. He scores 25 points on 9 of 21 shooting, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. Vooch did put up his typical double-double, 16 points, 12 rebounds. But him and Kobe White were both a minus 18 on the plus-minus. And another thing you can see when the Bulls panic, and this is where I think you can see it from the coaching staff when they panic, and I like THT because, he's a Simeon kid. He's a Chicago guy. But, when he is your spark plug, the roster's not as good as it needs to be. When he's the guy that you turn to in a play-in game, and it's like, hey, THT, you come in and fix our problems on offense, you're in a bad spot. And that's really what the Bulls were in tonight. All right, when we get back, we'll talk about how it changed your outlook of the season and what's next for the Chicago Bulls. All coming up next here on the Locked On Bulls postcast on the Locked On Sports Chicago YouTube channel. If you're running a business and you know that every missed call is money left on the table, think about it. When was the last time you had a service emergency? If the first person didn't answer, did you wait? Probably not. And that's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system designed to streamline and scale your customer communications all through an app on your phone or computer. If you've ever felt stuck carrying 2 phones, one personal, one for work, what would it feel like for you to consolidate all of those into one thing? And how do you keep track of your calls, notes, memory, and a spreadsheet? OpenPhone provides AI-powered call transcripts and summaries. Think about how that might change your workflow if you just have AI doing all of that stuff for you instead of trying to take notes while you're on the phone. OpenPhone is offering my listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's OpenPhone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you're switching from another service, OpenPhone will even port your existing numbers over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. The show also brought to you by Amazon Fire Stick. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming system, an entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign at Xbox Game Pass Unlimited with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed. As easily as you stream your favorite shows, it's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. I'm in the College Football Dynasty League with a bunch of my buddies right now. We're on season 7 of this thing, using this platform to play our games. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get that's Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Unlimited subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max first and second gen, and Fire TV Cube. And lastly, today's show also brought to you by WayFair. Spring is here, and that means it's home project season. Whether you're refreshing a room or tackling a full renovation, WayFair is the best kept secret for all things home improvement. From small updates like stylish cabinet hardware to major upgrades like new vanities, sinks, or outdoor lighting, WayFair has quality products for every budget. So if you want to upgrade your patio or whatever you got going on outside as the summer gets here in Chicago, when you're going to be enjoying that nice, beautiful weather, WayFair is the way to go. WayFair makes home improvement easy. Get started now at wayfair.com. That's WAYFAR.com. WayFair, every style, every home. All right, so does this change your outlook on the 2024-2025 season? For me, the answer is yes. Your goal was to make the playoffs. When you traded Zach LaVine and got your first round pick back, and you didn't trade Vooch, it to me was clear that you were making one move, and that was to just get the rights back to your first round pick. That was the goal of the front office. They should have blown this thing up. We all know that. We've covered this 100 times on every single Bulls piece of content you've ever listened to, whether it's us, Locked On Bulls, sports radio, whatever. They should have blown this thing up. They didn't do it. And they did it because they could get their first pick back, control their destiny, and hope to make the playoffs and have a non-lottery pick. Well, they didn't do that either. So that's why it does change my outlook on how this season ended. I was feeling fine. Like I felt better about the end of the season than I did the previous 2 years. That's for sure. You have Modest Buzelis. I like Josh Giddey. You're going to pay him, I'm assuming, this offseason. We saw Kobe White take another step forward offensively in the regular season without playing next to Zach LaVine and playing next to Giddey instead. Those are positives. But because you chose not to tank, you're now going to get a late lottery pick, and you didn't make the playoffs. You're still just stuck in no man's land. So the reason why I felt positive is because I was confident they were going to be the 8th seed and at least get a chance to play 4 games against the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round of the playoffs and actually feel like they're taking a step forward. Instead, they're just stuck where they are. They're going nowhere fast. This is who the Chicago Bulls are, and I don't know what's next. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about here to end the show. So, yes, it's changed my outlook absolutely on this season. So, what's next? Well, I think the first thing you got to do is figure out your coach. Do you believe in Billy Donovan? I think the answer to that's going to be an easy yes for the front office. I don't expect a surprising change. I will say, with what's happened in the NBA with Mike Malone being fired, I would be at least a little intrigued if he was interested in the job, but my guess is he's going to be the next coach of the San Antonio Spurs. So my guess is Billy Donovan will be back. And then the next decision is, what are you willing to do with Josh Giddey? Are you going to pay Josh Giddey $30 to $40 million if that's what he demands in restricted free agency? I think the answer to that's also going to be yes. So Josh Giddey, Modest Buzelis, those are the guys that they have right now. Everyone else, I think, still going to this offseason is really up for debate. Nikola Vucevic should not be on this team next year. That, to me, is a must. No matter what your goals are next year, you want to be a playoff team, you want to be the 6th seed, you want to be the 8th seed, whatever you want to be, Vooch shouldn't be on, okay? That's not what's supposed to happen. But that's not going to work. So Vooch has to go. And it's nothing against Vooch, but it's just been time for that to happen. So that's the number one move. The next question will be Kobe White, I think. Now, I think Kobe White, he was phenomenal on offense. He is inconsistent. I think in this game specifically, you showed his lack of defense is a problem against Tyler Hero. We all knew that. We know he's not a great defender. You have too many guys who are not good defenders on this roster. You can't win a playoff game or playoff games with Nikola Vucevic, Kobe White, and Patrick Williams on the roster. We all knew that. That's not like a shocker, right? That's the way this game played out in terms of when those guys were on the court, it was terrible defensively for the Bulls. That's 3 guys who either are not good on defense or don't try on defense like Patrick Williams. So Kobe White would be the next question. Are you going to invest heavily financially in Josh Giddey and in Kobe White? I'm not sure about that one. I wonder if they will try to move Kobe White this offseason and try to get an asset in return for him. I'm not sold either way, honestly, right now, if they have to. I do think when you talk about building this future, it really starts around Giddey and Modest. I lean towards keeping Kobe. I've made that pretty clear on these postcast shows. If I'm, I think you can start to build something around that group of guys and hopefully head in a better direction than just being stuck in where you are as the 9 seed or 10 seed and 39, 40 wins. But that will be something that they'll have to answer this offseason. And they'll get calls on Kobe. And that's where I think this really comes down to in terms of what's next. The Bulls offense, front office, just needs to go into this next season with an open mind. That's what I want from them as a Bulls fan. I want them to go into this next offseason with an open mind. If the Lakers call you and offer you a first-round pick for Kobe White so he can put them next to Reeves and LeBron and Luka, you do it. If you don't get an offer for Kobe that you like, then keep him. But trade Vooch and do anything you possibly can to move Patrick Williams. That would be the other offseason priority for me right now, is do whatever you can, attach whatever you basically need to, attach a first-round pick in 2032 or 2033, however far out you can go, and get that guy off this team. He's not good. It's a terrible contract. It was a terrible contract when they gave it to him. We all knew it. No one likes it besides Patrick Williams and his family. So they got to find a way to move off of him this offseason. Interesting question here from Brandon. Why did the Bulls give Lonzo another contract? So there's two ways to look at this Lonzo thing. One, they made a huge mistake by not moving him. I don't think that doesn't have to be your opinion. It can be. It's not mine necessarily, because I actually think having Lonzo Ball in this new contract, 2 years, $20 million, $10 million a year, actually makes that contract much more movable this offseason. And because it was a wrist injury, not a knee injury, I think the way he played last year will help garner some interest in him. Now, you might have missed the peak value of Lonzo Ball, and that I'm not going to argue. I know there were reports out there that they got offered a first-round pick for him, and if that's true and they didn't move him for that, they're worse than I thought. But Lonzo Ball, I don't expect to be on this team next year. That's a team-friendly deal. But again, if they feel like that veteran leadership is needed, because what are we talking about in the start of the show in this game? Defense. And from the moment Lonzo Ball stepped on the court this year, when he was out there, the Bulls were a much better defensive team. Whether he's reading back cuts, his effort, his steals, everything was better with Lonzo Ball on the court. That's a fact. There's no disputing that. So while I think they'll listen on Lonzo, I think he'll be on this roster to start next season. Will he finish it? I have my doubts. If he's healthy, I do think you move him at the deadline next year. But I'll be honest, I think Lonzo's going to be on this team. The worst thing the Bulls could do this offseason is to roll out the same roster, basically, or to make another deal with the Kings. And I know that's what a lot of people think is going to happen, is that Domantas Sabonis is going to be a Chicago Bull. And next year, you're going to have Giddey, Sabonis, Kobe, and Modest as your group. On paper, it doesn't sound absolutely terrible, but it's not going to – I'm not about that. Like, you move on Vooch, you trade your first-round pick for Sabonis. I don't love that. You'll get Ayo back, which will be huge defensively next year. And again, it's why I don't know if you need Lonzo back. Why you could move him this offseason. Because I don't know if you're going to go next year with how many guards they had on the roster this year. They had way too many guards. Next year, starting the season off with Lonzo, Giddey, Ayo, Kobe, Dalen Terry, Julian Phillips, all of these guards on the roster doesn't seem logical to me. So the Bulls just need to be aggressive this offseason. They need to be aggressive in one way or the other. Either head to the bottom and keep Giddey and Modest to try to turn this thing around in the next 2 years with those guys as your core and hopefully a good draft pick next year, or find a way to add something special this year. I forgot about Trey Jones. He's a free agent. So he won't be back next year, most likely. But just do one or the other. Get us out of here. Get us out of the 9 seed. Get us out of 39 wins. It's exhausting as a fan to be sitting in the same exact position time after time again. And the worst part is, and the reason why I doubt they do anything, is because unless the Cubs actually win their division this year, the Bulls are still the most successful team in Chicago sports right now. And that sucks. That sucks because the Reinsdorfs can look at the White Sox that they own. They can look at the Cubs. They can look at the Bears. They can look at the Blackhawks. And they can say we're the only team that even made our playoffs. It's unfortunate that they can do that because I think it keeps them at the status quo that they are. All right, that will do it for the Locked On Bulls postcast this season. Thank you for watching. Next year, we will be back, and we will be doing it a little bit differently. We'll be on the Locked On Bulls YouTube channel. So like right now, I do the Cubs post-game shows just like this. After every single Cubs game, they're live on the Locked On Cubs channel. So if you like it, if you like me, appreciate you. If you listen to audio, YouTube, whatever, and you're a Cubs fan, come over to Locked On Cubs. We go live after every single game. We had a show earlier today. So come on out, hang out with us. We'll be back next year for another year of the Locked On Bulls postcast. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us all season long. Talk to you next year. Peace.